Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is all the books that I read in 2025. I read 71 books out of my goal of 76, so I was very close, and two of these books are DNFs. I DNF'd a few other books, but there is two that I feel like I kind of did read. So we're going to go through them. Last year I kind of talked in a bit of detail about all the books. This year I'm kind of just going to give you the rating and a yes, no, or maybe, and maybe add a comment if I feel the need to, but we're going to try and do as rapid fire as possible. So the first book I finished in 2025 was Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This was a 3-star from me, and I would say maybe for this one. Then I read The Worst Wingman Ever by Abby Jimenez. This is a short story, I didn't rate it, but I would say yes. Then I finished Cher's memoir, the part 1. This again doesn't have a rating because it's a non-fiction memoir, but I would say yes if you like memoirs. Then I have Yellow Face, which I rated 4 stars, and I'd say yes. Then I read The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This was a 3.75 stars, and I would say yes as long as you like young adult books. Then I read The Answer Is No by Fredrik Backman. This is another short story, so no rating. I would say yes, as it's a bit more just general fiction. Then I listened to Daughter of No Wells by Carissa Borden. This was a 4-star. I would say yes. And then I listened to Mile High by Liz Tomford, which was a 4 stars as well, and I'd also say yes, but only if you're like into sports romance and a bit of spice in your romance. Then I listened to Evenings and Weekends. This one was a 3.25. I would say maybe for this one. Then I read The Rom-Commers by Catherine Center. This was a 4.75 star, almost a 5-star. I would say yes, unless you have health anxiety, then maybe. Then I finished The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. This is just 100% a yes. One of the best romance books I've ever read. Then I finished Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home. This I would say maybe, if you already have it on your shelves. Then I read Graveyard Shift by ML Rio. I read this a 2.5. I don't remember too much about it, but I'm going to say maybe. Then I read Hello Beautiful by Ann Napolitano. This was a 3.5. I would say maybe for this. I feel like you might need to be in a good headspace. The next few are all second books in the series. I'm going to recommend them kind of based on the first book as well. But I have Us Against You by Fredrik Backman. I rate this a 4.25 and I'd say yes. Then I have These Twisted Bonds by Lexi Ryan. I rate this a 4.5 and I would also say yes. Next is Tales from the Cafe. This I rated a 4-star and I would say definitely yes. Then I have Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. This was a 4.25 and I would say 100% yes. Then I have All the Dangerous Things by Stacey Willingham. I rate this a 3.5 stars. I would say yes. Then I have the Throne of Glass series. I'm just going to put this all in one, even though I only have 3 here. Yes. Then I have Blue Sisters by Coco Mellows. This was a 3.75. Similar to Hello Beautiful, I would say maybe / yes if you're in the right headspace. Then I have Fearless by Lauren Roberts, which is the 3rd book in the series. I would say yes, and I rated that 4.5 star. Then I have The X-Files by Jessica Joyce. This is a 5 stars. I loved it. Yes, 100%. Then I read Danny Kerr's memoir, which was Everything Happens for a Reason. Again, didn't rate this one. I would say, I guess, yes, if you like rugby. Then I read I Who Have Never Known Men. This was a 3.75 stars. I would say maybe because I feel like the genre isn't everyone's cup of tea. But if you like dystopian sort of science fiction kind of books, you would like this. Then I read Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. This one I rated 3.75, and I don't know if I would rate it that if it wasn't by Emily Henry, so I'm going to say, I don't want to be harsh, I was kind of thinking no, but I'll go with maybe. Then I read Know My Name by Chanel Miller. This is kind of a memoir. I listened to this, and if you do read this book, I highly recommend listening to it. I think I would say I maybe recommend it because you definitely need to look into what happened to Chanel Miller before you go into this book. Then I listened to Next of Kin by Hannah Bonham Young, and I rated this one 3.75 as well. I maybe recommend this one. There might be some topics in this that are triggering to some people, but I really enjoyed it. Then I listened to The Firm by John Grisham. I rate this a 3-star. I would recommend this if you're into law or crime kind of fiction books. so I'll say maybe, but if you're not into that, I wouldn't recommend. Then I listened to This Is How You Lose the Time More. I didn't rate this because it was very hard to follow. It wasn't a DNF, but it was close. So I would say I'd maybe recommend it, but I feel like I'm not really the right person to be recommending it. And then I finally finished Hopeless by Elsie Silver. This was one that I did DNF and went back to. After going back to it, I was about halfway through and I did kind of enjoy it a bit more, having got past the beginning parts. So I think I ended up rating it 2.5. But out of the series, it's definitely my least favourite. I would recommend the series though, so it's a yes. Then I read Love on the Brain by Ellie Hazelwood. I rated this one 3 stars. I think I would say I would maybe recommend it. Then I read The Rulebook by Sarah Adams. This was a 4-star. It's the second book after the cheat sheet, and I would say I maybe recommend it. Then I read Heartstopper. I didn't rate this one, but I would recommend it. Then I read My Body. I didn't rate this one either, but I did really enjoy it, so I would recommend it. Then I listened to Rosie and the Dreamboat by Sally Fawn, which is another short story, so I didn't rate it. I would say I maybe recommend this one. Next I have The Summer We Fell. I rated this one a 3.5 stars. I would say I maybe recommend it. Definitely look into some of the trigger warnings. Then I listened to Drop Cover and Hold On. This one is another short story I listened to, and I would again say maybe. Then I read Same Time Next Summer by Annabelle Monaghan. I rated this one a 3 stars. I was a little bit disappointed, so I would say maybe. I then read One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. This one was a 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it, so I definitely recommend. Then I've got the first DNF, which was The Summer Girl. Obviously, I would say no. I just didn't enjoy it. Then I reread Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This is still a 5-star. I absolutely love it, so it's a yes. Then I finished The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. This one I rated a 4.5 and I would definitely recommend. Then I finally read Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. This one I rated a 3.5. I would say yes. Then I read The Full Risk, which is another short story. I would say yes. Then I read Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. This was a 5-star. I really loved this one, so it is a yes. And if you can, read it in the autumn time. Then I read Falling Like Leaves by Misty Wilson. I rate this one a 4.25 stars. I also really loved this. I would say I maybe recommend just because it's young adult, but I would say it was very nostalgic and like coming of age for me. Then I read Death Row, which is a short story by Frida McFadden. I really enjoyed this, so I would say I do recommend this one. Then I read Fearful by Lauren Roberts. This is like the novella after the 3rd book, and I would say no to this specific book. I rated it 2-star. Then I read Hot for Slayer by Ali Hazelwood. This was a short story, and I would say yes if you like romance, obviously, and read it in the autumn. And then I read the second book after Phantasma, which is Enchantra. I rated it 4 stars. I also really enjoyed this one, so it's still a yes. Then I read another of the short stories in the same series as Hot for Slayer, which was Falling by Christina Lauren. This is also a yes, but I would say it wasn't as good as Hot for Slayer. Then I read Carmilla, which is a kind of classic, I think, at this point. I didn't rate it. I would say I maybe recommend it. If you're looking to kind of ease into classics, this is a good one to go with. Then I read Six Deaths of the Saint by Alex E. Harrow, which is another short story. I would say no. Then I read The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. This one was a 4-star. I really loved it. Obviously the movie's out now, so I would say yes. Then I read The Slicks, which is like a non-fiction book. For this one, I would say maybe. And then I have my second DNF, which was The Wedding Witch by Erin Sterling. This is the 3rd book in the X-Hex series. I like the other 2, so I would say yes for those, but this one is a no. Then I read Resting Scroogeface by Megan Quinn. This was another short story, and I would say yes. Then I listened to A Winter in New York by Josie Silver. I rate this a 3 stars. I would say maybe, but don't read it as a Christmas book. Then I read One Day in December. I rate this a 3.25. I would recommend it over A Winter in New York, but again, not really a Christmas book, so I'd say maybe. Then I read The Ex-Wives Club by Sally Hepworth, another short story. I would say maybe. Then I read The Gift by Frida McFadden, another short story, and I'd say yes. And then the final physical book I have is Killer Instinct by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the second book after The Naturals, and I'd still say yes if you're into young adult. And then my final book for the year was actually another short story, and it was All by My Elf. I would say no. So those were all the books that I read in 2025. I hope you enjoyed this, and I feel like maybe this was a better way of doing this video. It definitely is a lot shorter than my one from last year. I have another video out for my 26 books I want to read in 2026 if you'd like to see that. But I feel like I had a pretty good reading year. I obviously finished Throne of Glass, which is a big chunk of the year and also what I wanted to do in the year, so I'm happy with that. Those are all the books I've read. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video.